shoot. Welcome to the channel, guys. This is Reliable Rudy. Before we get set up, I got a couple things I gotta do. We haven't taken any trades today. We have looked through the Bank of America earnings. TDOC is a new one. We tried the bottom of one of these consolidations, I think 24.98 average. Sometimes you get lucky. And we were saying that, hey, if we can get over 25.25s, I mean, it's a slippery slope. And we had a nice flat top. And sometimes you just gap over that flat top. I haven't had any sells on the name yet, so had potential for 27.40s off the open. But this is one that, not the most amount of size, but I think it's more of a swing trade. Simply because, you have this run up, and yesterday you're able to gap down, fill that gap. And for looking down here at the strength, this is what I'm really focused on. As you get that positive break, there's your bull flag correlating with the chart, and then the gap up continuation on a fresh positive break. I think that I can get some further movement to the upside, which is why we haven't sold any yet. But it wouldn't be a bad idea if the price got back up in these 27s. Maybe respect it. And specifically why is because it has this little flat top gap right there around 27.10. So maybe just a rejection from that. We got to trade back all the ways in before we get some price movement. So I just want to see sort of this flat top hold support. So before we go into any more analysis, you guys know I'm not a licensed financial advisor. Everything in this video is me just sharing my opinion, trying to give you guys some entertainment and trying to make some money on the way in the process. NKLA started catching a bid as it continued to hold two. We talked about NKLA yesterday that, from this 150 flat top break, I don't see a reason to sell any. It did have increased volume right here in red volume. It looks worse than what it is from down here. When you look up here, the price action was actually still green on that day. It's just from the open, it was red volume. So a lot of indecision yesterday. Another two hold and wicking up to as high as 260 today. So we're going to see if we can take out the highs. And my top print, I believe, is a 292. So anywhere up into that, we're still holding the piece. So trying to hold the piece as high as it wants to go. Looking over at TDOC, we are coming into this sort of flat top. So yeah, giving up some of the gains off of the 3.8% from the open to the downside. I still think that it can hold some support, and even if it needs to drop a little bit lower, this is where the bodies of the candles are. You got the wicks up here and the bodies down here. Bank of America, I thought the earnings were good. The biggest part that I was focused on, as I'm looking more as a long-term perspective, is the $2.8 billion return to shareholders. Year over year, 76 million shares were bought back by the company. Solid growth, I believe it was 15% net income growth. And I don't remember off the top of my head the revenue growth. There was probably some negatives in there. I'm not a banking expert. And I don't know. I think some of the other banks are running right now. So maybe if there was something wrong, it'd be tough to tell. Because the banks are kind of running right now. But luckily we are also in some KRE, which is actually taking out the highs, and I'm actually inclined to kind of average up on this position. In from a 42, we're playing this sort of flat top right here. From this day over here, and then we seen it starting to go a little bit, and then we had a little profit taker right here thinking that, hey, we can reload off this gap if it comes back in. Well, now we're getting ready to take out this sort of neckline. You can see this sort of U shape being built, and honestly, if I go to a 15-minute chart, if I wasn't in at 42, I would have been very inclined to take a chance on this, You know, even if it pulled back in to like 44 and a quarter, I believe that is a reasonable area for if you're trying to just trade this on the day. Or man, I did not want to see Hibbit. Uh, we were thinking about Hibbit as soon as it broke this channel, and yeah, this is one that I really don't want to let get away from me. But getting a close to that positive break, I want to see it start getting rejected, come back into these 38s. So Hibbit is gonna be one for maybe later in the week, maybe next week. But let's see some top movers and go from here. TDOC right around that 26. Zim catching a little bit of a bid. BAC full green engulfing candle approaching this gap fill. You know, I told myself that when we were building this position throughout this time, I'm not gonna specifically tell you each day we bought. I don't know. We've been averaging into this position down here for a little bit. Told myself I was gonna respect this gap, but you know, I think I'm more so inclined to see if it can catch a bid up to these lows. Uh, Looking a little bit more bullish now that we have more information. I think it's reasonable to get up to those 31s, 31 halves maybe. But as of right now, we haven't taken a single trade today. Um, let's see if we can at least just go ring the register on something. That something might be TDOC, or I might think about averaging more into that TDOC. You can see as we got to those first little flat tops, buying pressure holding it up for the time being. But with this red engulfing candle on increased volume, I don't see why it couldn't come down to this 25.65, 25 half, which is giving up a lot of the gap up, which is not the not the most fun thing to do. But I would say another trade I'm keeping my eye on is GOEV, and it has this nice flat top that I was watching. But when I started watching, it was up at 76. I said, okay, if it can come back into this flat top, I think maybe a reasonable trade right here. More than likely, there is some sort of ascending channel right there, something like that. Probably not the most perfect setup, but we go over to that daily chart and you can see the catalyst for an ascending channel. Now we're waking up into that top area. Are we going to get any price action? You got a nice fresh positive break as you're taking out this sort of flat top. It gaps over 56, which could have been your area of potential. The other one that is probably notable is this Warner Brothers. We've been talking about Warner Brothers. We've said, hey, we're in this sort of wedge pattern right here. If you're lucky enough to get a break to the upside, I would say it could be setting up for a 1750 gap fill, but also rejecting these lows right here is what it's wicking up to. So maybe your potential is up to that 16 half, up to those highs, which is a pretty reasonable return. Uh, and when it pulls back in, it kind of pulls back into this original positive break. You can see this positive break comes in right around these highs at a flat top, gaps up, tries to retest that flat top. You see these wicks right here, how it retests while we get continuation. Well, this is pretty much where we fall back in, where it's the start of this trend line, start of this wedge pattern. So I would like to see it trade inside of this wedge pattern for a little bit, give me more confidence to take the trade. NKLA up to this 250 and TDOC hold of that 29, so the daily candle looking a lot better now. I think I'm going to be more inclined on this GOEV play, but I need to keep an eye on RXRX. I seen it was red on the day. It was under 13 briefly, where we talked about our stop yesterday. We said, hey, if we start giving up these wicks right here, we're going to get out. Well, we got out underneath of 1363. You know, it started catching a bid back to the upside, but I was never really that worried. just because of how well it respected the top end of this channel right there. So we're going to give this one a little bit of time, but getting closer to that negative break. And with these wicks getting as low as down here, I also have to be worried about a potential. You can see the little head and shoulders top. That could be my catalyst for a move back down to 1250. So we're going to keep an alert on this name, and I'm just going to put an alert here at this 1280. That's going to put it on the map for us, and I'm going to have to go cancel some alerts here. TDOC, you can see the TDOC. After we got in that position, I wanted to be notified if it gave up 24.96. Well, now I'm worried about if it's given up 26. So I don't think we need to worry about that one. Activision, we're still in the Activision position. We had a couple trims on live stream yesterday. And NKLA, we don't have to worry about it giving up 2 anymore. And Roblox, it's too bad we never really got alerted on that back then. But other than that, I think we are clear to get this 1280 back in. And it is catching a bid. Green candle, it gaps up, it gives up the gap, and now covering it back over that gap actually for the time being. GOEV, GOEV, I would say reasonable marketable order right here. Could be in the place today. Right up to that 26. And I would say Disney is also a name that I want to keep my eyes on today. Catching a bid, I think in these 80s, I believe long term probably fair value. Are there kinks in the road? Is there stuff going on with the state of Florida and Disney? I don't know as much about that stuff, but I know that this is reasonable support that it's trading at, and they are expected to be growing, getting closer. It's going to be a long-term play, because if you're betting on Disney, you're betting that they're going to be getting back to their margins that they put up from 2012 to 2018 before they took on a lot of debt, and then before they got hit by the COVID. And now you're worried about, the streaming aspect of it. You're worried about the Hollywood strike. You're worried about, this and that. Well, just how about just play it like a long-term play, because Disney's not going anywhere. It's got a moat and a half, and would you be shocked if Disney wasn't here 20 years from now? I would. But that doesn't mean that you should go and buy it. Just me saying that I look at Disney as more of a long-term play down here, because we've seen a lot of strength in the market over the course of 2023, and Disney, for it to be red on the year is something in itself. So we were thinking long term on Disney and catching a little bit of a bid. And the reason why I'm not just punching in on this knife is because support is meant to be broken. I might have tried it in order off of this gap, and I want it to keep falling. So negative strength, I'm betting that, I want it to keep going down. So we'll see if we can get that. But if it wants to start catching a bid, I would like to see it get above these lows right here, which is 87.63, give or take, and this is actually a flat bottom break. So how many times have I showed you guys where it's holding support, and then it gives up that support and it retests the bottoms. So I would like to get a little bit more confidence that it's not going to crack that support. Also notable is probably Verizon, kind of that same boat. Flat bottom break, doesn't need to retrace up. Are there more people looking short inside of this move? And looking over at the weekly chart, you can see, I have this drawn as a trend line right here. Whether this is actually a trend line, you don't get that point of contact up here for a channel. So maybe this is a wedge pattern right here. But clear resistance up at 61. I'm sure there's also news related stuff that's tied in with that. So, however you see that fit. RXT is a trend line play as well. up 8%. We could set an alert over top of 75s. So if it gets over 75s, let's go look at the 15-minute chart for this. As you can see, it's continued to respect this sort of trend line. You can see the flat top right here. So is it going to reject these 75s? Are we going to get this to trade back in? Not the most amount of volume in these first two candles. So I'd actually like to see a lot more volume coming into this where I can play it like a bull flag. But right now I think we're just kind of sitting on our hands, getting a feel for the market. I can see BAC almost wicked up to those 30.55s. We still have a piece of the affirm. I don't see a reason to trim any just yet. I'd like to see it get back up to these 19s. We've already respected 18s. We didn't have any reloads come in. We actually were thinking that we can get a break of this and start playing it back close to that 14s again. Well, now catching a bid, which is alright. We'll just keep holding on to that position and see where it goes from there. Soundhound, I also do think that Soundhound could be a reasonable trade, as it has been in this sort of trend line. Now you have a sort of channel that's held, but the trend line has been legit. You go back over to when we're trading down near $1 is where it started back in December. And this trend line traded sideways all the ways to this trend line, catches a bid, trade sideways all the ways to the trend line. Will it catch another bid? I don't know, but that is what we're looking at with Soundhound. And then Invex is also another trend line play if we see it fit. But I would say somewhere in there, testing this flat top right here. So it consolidates down, holds of the trend line. You get the green engulfing candle through the entire move. Now you trade back down in, actually underneath of that sort of neckline break, but now trying to turn green on this candle, holding positive strength. That is what I would say is key with this play, is that, I still think that if somebody was punching in long, 790 to 825 is all reasonable area for people to have gotten long in this. So right in this range where this is where the longs are getting in. So if the longs can hold this price range, before you know it, this could be taking out the highs and trading back in the nines for all I know. So those are a couple things that I'm looking for. We can look at the top movers for the day. There's only PWM, it would have been lovely to get that 13 break, but obviously my fidelity was down. So blame fidelity for that. We'll keep an eye on TDOC. Up 5% on the day. Trying to put it in a green candle. So we'll see if it can hold this sort of support area. But I would like to start getting some trims on the name. At least some 5% trim. So maybe if it gets up just a little bit more into this, it looks like the high of this candle gets up to 50s. We can start taking profits on 50s. And GOEV, this is what we want to see. So a minute left in this candle, it catches the volume and then rejects the top end of the channel. Whether this channel is set correctly or not, we think that this could be some potential, but we would love it down near the 72s a lot better. So maybe we set an alert if it taps 73.5. That way it puts it back on the radar for us and we can flip back over here really quick. So let's add an alert right there and see if we can get a fill there. NKLA breaking over the 250s. So NKLA catching a nice bid. I think if it gets back up into these, we're at the top end of these supports. I think if we can start at the bottom of these candles, and then if it catches a bid up to the highs of those wicks, that could be a couple trims that we go for there. Tell talked about Tell rejecting the 702, now actually breaking higher than the 702 right here. And looking at this, definitely some sort of trend line probably in right here. I would say this would be a little bit more reasonable, and probably some sort of ascending channel like that. So getting rid of this for the time being, but you know, 6 cents to the top end of that channel, with the 702 being right here from this retracement. This retracement over here probably meets up just a little bit different. That's your last retracement. So we're at that 702, last retracement built into these tops right here. Is it going to be able to take a leg higher? Where I'd say your true breakout is probably over 175. Sun W was a new one that we added to the watch list, so continuing to expand, but we threw it on the radar. We were seeing that it was getting a lot of volume yesterday. It was actually able to hold above this 165 break. So this was one I was thinking about trying yesterday, but never ended up pulling the trigger on it, which is alright. Rig, still holding a small piece of the rig position from way back, from back in the threes. Uh, And then we averaged up a little bit in this consolidation range. Actually able to take out the highs. Whether this channel means anything whatsoever, I don't think that this is going to blast up to 20s by any means. But, you know, if it did, you know, maybe this channel has some more weight to it. TDOC continuing to reject. It looks like it's going to trade back in just a little bit more. My goal is to hold this one just a little bit longer. Give it a little bit more time leading up to these earnings. See if it wants to rally into the earnings report, which is what I would like to see. GOEV looks like it is going to be that play for me today. Uh, Setting up this kind of bull flag pattern right here. 13 minutes left in this candle, so we would like for this candle to turn red. I haven't even looked at this name yet. Green candle, red engulfing candle, increased volume. So a lot of volume coming into this, and that red candle would scare me if the price started getting up to like 283. Are the shorts going to start trying to short in the middle of that red move? Would have me concerned. RXT continuing up towards this sort of breakout level, so we are going to be keeping that on watch. Nickel continuing to catch a bid on this next candle, pushing even higher. Then we should keep Zim on watch as well, and Affirm also on watch, pushing up to that 18. We'll see if we can get a breakout of those 18s. And BAC looks like we did fill that 30-55 gap, so if I wanted to take any profits, I would take a little piece right here. But I'm going to try and hold this right now, holding a nice green candle on the day. Soundhound continuing to show that, hey, we can go test up to at least these 380s. KRE. KRE could be getting more to that point where I'd want to be interested in taking a little bit more profits. So let's start with the top end of these wicks right here. If we get up to 46, we can start making small trims on the name and go from there. Carvana, nice consolidation, giving you that bull flag look. A lot of green volume and actually increasing on these first four candles up to this 42 gap. I was expecting a little bit more sell-off, so now if it would get over 42.80, you know, I would say it looks good for a continuation to even push higher. NKLA rejecting 260s, traded down awfully quick right there. So how does it act in the middle of this green move? Looking at it from a retracement play, that 266 looks like it is a hard rejection of that 702. Came right back in the 250s. TDOC looks like it's going to be setting up this bear flag right here. GOEV, holding these tapping these 75s briefly. But still 10 minutes left in this candle. This candle can actually still turn red. Man, I still don't have any coffee filters. TDOC coming down to these 26s. We'll see if I can hold these 26s right here. MGRX volume really coming in. Probably the same setup where we got sort of this flat top right in front of 2. And looking at it, we just actually got enough information to say, hey, we're holding positive. If it can take out 2s, you know, this looks like it could be a ripper. And it looks like we're going to see that awfully quick, holding 195s right here. Let's go to a 15-minute. Oh, came right back in. So hard rejection of that. You know, if I wanted some smoke, you know, not a lot of volume coming into this, only 89K on the day. So that would be worrisome for me, is that very, very light volume. But this candle volume is green, has 8 minutes left, and the volume is picking up. So if I wanted to try MGRX, you know, right around this 176, this support right in here, if it wants to hold green, that's a catalyst for it to push back up to the 2s at least. GOEV actually putting a green candle through the previous candle, not a half bad look. And now starting to break out. That is going to be a little disappointing for me. I could have tried it. $295K in volume, already 26 mil in volume for the name. Fifth on the name for volume. But coming back in, you know, maybe this is an opportunity to maybe start a small position. Right around these 75s, you know, it'd be nice to say, oh yeah, we got in at 73s. But and that wicking back under awfully quick. And right back in. So that's what we want to see. You know, I said, ooh, and that is right back over top of that resistance at 72. If I want the smoke, I can probably go for this. I think there's buyers in the middle of this, trying to hold this above this sort of flat top. I don't think this would be a double top scare. Alright, I think we're gonna try this. Oh, I forgot it's under $1. We're gonna try and take a position here. We'll see if we got a fill. We got 75s. So let's see if we can reclaim these 75s right here. You know, if it comes back in a little bit further, we can also uh, add some more to the name. But a lot of time left in this candle. We think that if it can be a green candle that's holding above 75, we think that we can get some price movements to the upside for sure. Zim up to those 1350s. Getting close to those, sort of a neckline break right here, I would say. Nice hold of support. Sort of like that. Not much size. About a quarter spread. 36 million in volume though. NKLA back up to that 260. We'll see if it can break higher. Let's try and add another little piece here. So we'll see if we got that fill or not. We didn't get that fill back over 75s. We'll move that order up just a little bit. TDOC still trying to hold 26s. So that's what we want to see. We want to see that just hold 26s, find a base of support, and we think that we can print that name to the upside. And that should have gave us a fill right there off of 74, 75s, as the price just briefly got underneath of that. So let's get this GOEV back on watch. I don't have this name on the title, but we were still trying to figure out. We started the live stream a little bit earlier today, so we were still trying to figure out what we wanted to trade. And I like this sort of setup as it puts a nice green candle through this flat top. You know, we were a little late. Would have been nice to get a clean 72 break. The part that I don't like about it is this wick right here. So we are going to be careful. Not the most amount of size because we actually want to be picking up more. So in these 73s. Right now around these 74 halves. Not much size on the bid. NKLA up to these. Let's just go on the tape a little bit and start taking a little bit of profits on the day. It looks like everything's kind of gapped up. So let's start taking some profits off of these. We'll go right off of 266. Beautiful profits right there, over $1 in the money on these shares from this break. GOEV now back up to those 75s and now holding above these 75s. Large spread, almost a whole penny spread. So I didn't really get to see any of those buyers stepping up. Now we're about 60-cent spread. The ask is at 82, 75, 82. And actually able to take out a chunk of that. Now bid stacking above 50. So this is a good look. If the candle can close like this, we think that we can get some continuation on the name. TDOC right at these 26s, so yeah, probably gonna be kicking myself for not taking any profits up at those 27s. But I still think that it has potential. It still has some good support to fall into. It didn't really respect these tops very well, but right in this shelf at 25 and a 3/4 looks reasonable. GOEV holding a nice green candle. So we'll see if this next candle can turn green and start giving us some sort of breakout level, where this is sort of that area where you could be looking for that breakout. And now holding above 76s, so now over a whole penny in the money now. So maybe around 77s we can start taking that, put us 2 pennies in the money. NKLA up to 64s right now. We're 2 pennies off the ask right there from where we're sitting. Let's say KRE wicked up to as high as 45s. 45. So if we can continue some upside move, we're looking for another leg up, and that is where we're going to look to start taking some profits. GOEV still holding 76s. Let's see what the tape looks like. We have bid on 76. Very tight spread right now. Gave up the ghost just a little bit. That's fine. We still like the setup, and even if it pulls back into the middle of this green candle, we like the add for this name. Just one simple wick testing this sort of wick tops right here. But other than that, we're going to keep our eyes on this. So if you guys got anything that you want to take a look at, we're going to see if this wants to give us some movement to the upside. And if not, I can bounce around and take a look at what you guys want to see. Yeah. Oh man, it would have been so nice to have this $13 if my trading was working. That's pretty tough. Uh, it is what it is. I don't know what else to say about that. Warner Brothers giving up 13. Good. We want that to come on down. GOEV still holding a green candle. NKLA, we're on the ask at 266. RXRX, man, we had this one. We had the alert put in for the test of this sort of flat top, and it puts that wick down. Since we got out at 68 yesterday, we should have just tried it off this 13. That 13 was legit. I still think it's possible that this can catch some resistance and maybe trade back down into these 13s, but up at 14s, that's uh, potential breakout if it's able to get on top of this channel and make some movement to the upside. So showing that wick, we still think that it's potential that since it wicked down even with over here, that this can be some sort of head and shoulders. But I would say the more it tests up to this range, the more it's sort of a flat top around this 14s. GOEV, trading back in, wicking just a little bit, and this wick getting a little bit lower than this wick high from the previous candle. We still think there's potential. We're still above our entries, so no reason to panic just yet. I'm actually more interested in adding to the position if it gets back in these middle 74s. We're going to see if there's any potential with that, and let's keep moving around and see if we can find something. BAC didn't have any problems with the gap. So yeah, we're thinking 31 halves for this name is where we're going to start making some profit takes. You can see the higher lows coming on in, building the catalyst for this little U shape. We have a downtrend, and we have these previous lows meeting in around 3130s to 3150s, 3160s. So that is where we're going to be interested. I thought the earnings were good. And a lot of times I just go see where they return to shareholders, how much they return to shareholders, check the revenue growth, check the profit growth. I'm sure there's negatives that are built into that, but all in all, I thought that even looking back to last Friday when we were looking at Citigroup's earnings, that they were pretty solid. And Nikola giving us a fill, so ringing the register on Nikola and now pushing to the high side. So let's go off of 74s. Let's ring the register on 74s if it wants to get there. And we will take another piece off at 74s, 274s. Let's get that in, 274. So if that wants to fill at 274s, we're going to let it. If it wants to run higher, we're going to let it as well. GOEV, this is going to be the one that we're watching for a potential breakout. And if it can give us that break, we're going to be feeling pretty good about this. A ton of volume in this name, 36 million shares traded, which it's under a dollar. So, I mean, in terms of liquidity, it's not the most, but all in all, still a decent setup. Nickel at 273 days high, just barely not giving us that fill at 74s. RXRX, we want that to kind of give up the ghost, but it doesn't look like it's going to. What else? What other names do we have? FVRR able to actually get over 31s. So we think that this name can get up to this flat top. Let's start with just marking this wick low and this wick top right there around 32. So up to 32.20s is where we're looking to start taking some more profits on the name. And into the sort of all these wicks right in here up into 33s is the next area that we're going to have our eyes on. Disney wicking into that red candle a little bit. So this is what we wanted to see, and this is why we weren't gonna rush into this, because hey, you have these wick bottoms, you give up, and it's trying to hold these bottoms, and red engulfing right through it, called a flat bottom break. Now just a simple test, this could easily trade back down in. This could be, you got the 3 candles of increasing red volume. Passes the test. So if this wants to start building a upside down U shape, kind of like how I would talk about to the upside, we're looking for another leg down to come down to those mid 80s. GOEV giving up 76s, which is fine. Wicking into the middle part of that green candle, 75 held. But a little wicky, so we do got to be careful with that. You can see the selling pressure on each one of these candles. Not quite ready to break out yet. We still have 6 minutes 50 seconds left on this candle. A lot of volume coming in. Buyers and sellers trying to fight out the price. Let's see if we can get upper 70s. And just like that, right back up, testing 76s. If I wanted to start trimming the name, I would probably just go on the ask at 76 flat, try and get a trim, and then try and reload back in at 75. But like I said, we don't have the most size on this. I normally don't put a lot more size on these penny stocks. But we got a couple lots, and we're going to see if that has any movement to the upside. TDOC gave up 26s, wick low at 2580s. So yes, this is the main name simply because we're already over $1 in the money and we haven't taken a single profit take on it. So I'm going to be kicking myself for not doing so. I already know that, but all in all, I'm going to play this like a swing trade because that is the entry that I took. You had a fresh positive break, you're testing a flat top, you trade back into the level, and we took the trade off of 25s and now we're getting the gap up. If it wants to hold above this sort of flat top and start giving us a curl, we think that we can print 28s on the name. So why would I be interested in taking a simple profit take here at 26 if I think that we can get $2 higher? So that's kind of what I'm seeing there. RXT right up to that 275. This could be a potential, and we'll see if the volume is starting to pick up, and it looks like it is. This candle is got a nice wick of buying, so even though this candle volume is red, the volume on these first three candles has picked up. So if this were to come back into like middle 66s, I think it would pass the test. So we could actually go set an alert on each side of this. And that should give us an alert one way or the other. GOEV right around these 75 still. And a lot of size on the bid. We got 153 lots on 75 too. So right now it's actually probably chipped away at some of those already. And then just gave up, so it ate through that size. Right through 74s. This could be an area that we could add some more if we wanted to. Right down into 73 half. Let's see if we can actually get a little bit more added to this. I don't like this candle, but we think that this can still wick around this level. We're going to go 73 half and add a little bit more to that size. So that should have gave us 73s actually, and I don't like the red engulfing candle through that level on increased volume, so I am going to be ready to cut this if it doesn't have any buyers off this flat top, which I will respect it. Let's try and add a little bit more here. Let's go a little bit more off of 73. We weren't able to get that second add there, but we did get 73s, and now we're on the tape. We should probably move that down to 73s, or move it up to 73s. But leaving a nice wick of buying, so not the worst setup. Obviously, it's a red candle moving through these bottoms right here, but nice wick of buying right there. And NKLA didn't give us a fill either. So we do have a decent add there. If this price can hold right around these 74s, that is what I'd like to see. Even if it doesn't give me that extra add off 73s, but I think we're going to stay true to this position and give it down to this flat bottom or flat top setup. You can see all the support right there. So a simple wick down to that area and for it to get bought up really quick like that makes me feel a little bit better. When it was a full red candle right there, my heart, I could feel it pumping a little bit. Adrenaline coming in. Now, still 52 seconds left in this candle, so it hasn't set a close. But anything above these 73 halves, I would say I feel pretty comfortable with it. Whew. 30 seconds left. If it can hold these 74s, we feel good that this actually could try to build and take out 75s again, where I would say you're going to have people putting alerts on the bodies of these candles right at 75 half. So if it can find a way to get back on 75 half, I think it has a reasonable chance for a test back up to these 80s and maybe even a leg up. So holding these 74s, we get the gap down. It's already filled the gap in the first 5 seconds. So let's see if this can start showing a little bit of a bid. We're on the bid at 73s. The one part I don't like about this candle though is that red volume. I wanted to see, but from this first candle, this is your 3 candles and RXT giving us an alert. So let's go take a look over here. Trading on in, it leaves a red engulfing candle with increased volume that exceeded our third candle move of only 25K. So really not a lot of volume coming into this name, but on pace for probably about 3 million in volume, give or take. GOEV coming into 73s. We'll see if this can give us a fill here. Wicks as low as 73.20s. There's 73.26. I would say a notable move is oil reclaiming those 75s and holding 75s for the time being. NKLA getting 1 penny away from my 74 order, which is a little tough, but we're okay holding that position. And that should have given us a fill right there. So let's see if we have any buyers coming in. And we do have the fill off of 73s. And a lot of size here at this 274 lots off 73s. So I'm glad I was able to get the fill. Now getting a little bit closer to the size that we would like. So let's go ahead and try this level right here. We'll try this level right here and see if it has any weight to it. And we got 7281s right there to go through the tape. So I'd say we got the size that we like, and let's see if we can continue this move and get back up to these 75s. We think it's possible. We think we have a lot of good built-in support. If it did want to give up the ghost and trade down, I'd say our risk is about 2%. And here the buyers are starting to come on in just briefly. Light volume, but showing me that wick is important. And size stacked up to 73.2, 37 lots. 8 through that awfully quick and right back into the level. 100 lots, eating up through that level as well. We're going to be patient with this one. Kind of right in the middle of this green move to the upside. Does it need to come in a little bit more of these 72s? Maybe it does. A lot of time left on this candle. We still have 10 minutes left, so by no means is this gonna be over. And I'd say that true test of this flat top could be reasonable for it to start wicking into that. And just like that, buyers coming on in. So that's why we didn't want to panic. Holding these 73s, continuing to hold these 73s. Still holding 73s. Now showing you a nice wick into this level. And now the candle actually turning green up to these 74s. I would say 75s we're going to start respecting. Take some pieces off and go from there. But it has to get there first. Kind of a wide spread, about 60 cents. 60-cent spread, now tightening a little bit. 20-cent spread. Back to a 20-cent spread. We'll see if it can keep holding this level. Now up through these 74s, 82 lots on 74, that's gonna need the breakthrough. And I should probably go adjust my title. Up to, oh boy, up to these 75s. Let's see if we can put this green candle through this move. 6 minutes left on this candle. Showing you that sideways consolidation. And if it wanted to be this sort of cone formation, we'd like to see it at least attempt up back up to these 76 halves. So we think that there is some potential for it. Honestly, this wick going in the middle of this red candle, more of an obvious level to short. You know, up here you could say is obvious level to short, but this would be an area in the middle of this red candle. You have a level to go off of from the previous candle that you can say, hey, if this wants to give up the ghost, this is the entry that I'm looking for. So that's just a battle of understanding. You know, I'm looking to go long down on the bottom end, and understanding that, you know, shorts, it's a battle between me as a long and the shorts that are looking for the price to fall. Five minutes left in this candle. all in all, it's done what we needed to do. We got a couple fills off 73s, and we actually got one fill under 73s against my level. But we like this sort of flat top right here, and we weren't going to get scared until the price really dropped below that. Up here when we were trying to build our position, I was very clear that, you know, we didn't really have much size. If I wanted to fall back in here, this is where I really wanted to build the position. Well, now we have a little bit of size on it, so we'd like to see this sort of try the breakout. And if it gets up to these 75s, maybe that's an area where I can start cutting down some of that size. And my dog looks like he has to go outside. Ripley, lay down. Lay down. You're okay, puppy. Lay down. Good boy. Yeah, good dog. I would like to see this candle close above these bodies, which it's slightly above right now. Which I'd say call it just a 74. We'd like to see it hold above these 74s. $200 lots on 74 a half that we got to fight through, and now we're tapping them right now. Chipped away a few. And one lot sneaking in front of that higher size. So we think that if we can take out 74 halves, we can maybe catch a bid. But it might not be able to do that in this candle. We have a little bit of size stacking over 74s. But looking around, I can see RX gave up 14. That's a good start. Zim, 1330s. I don't see TDOC, which that could be a bad sign. Let's go take a look at TDOC real quick. See if that's retraced all the ways back in. You know, honestly, right down into this support area. You had a couple levels of buying right here. Maybe it needs to retrace all the ways down to the gap. All in all, I probably not going to sell any shares right here. If I was going to, it would have had to have been in the middle of this red candle move to the down. But I do think that this setup is reasonable. You know, it doesn't look as good as it did before, but you have this flat top that you're trading into. Can it start wicking into that? Maybe it just needs to come down to the gap. So we'll see what that holds in store for us. PWM catching a bid. BBIO, another continuation play. This is the first level that we said, hey, these lows, we don't see why it can't get up to there. Today, getting up there. NKLA rejecting that last retracement. You can see it pretty clear right there. And RXT wicked up to that flat top area. GOEV, you can see the continuation play that we're trying for right here. You can see the flat top. You can see the flat top. You can see it wicked up towards these 80s. Which this is where I would like to get a lot better profit takes on the name. So holding 74 still temporarily. Is it going to be able to hold strong? We got a minute 30 left, and we'll see if it's able to do that. BAC getting ready to take out day's high, so we're waiting for 31 halves. We think that we can get 31 halves. BTAI, actually a nice setup. This is the first candle of the day, follows up with a second green candle. A couple candles of consolidation, now getting ready to take out the highs. Down 30 seconds left, down below these 73 halves for the time being. Good size on 73 halves, and it just chunked through them as I said that. So we finally have the open of the next candle. Seemed like that was a longer candle. So we'll see if 73s can hold. Trying to hold 73s here. I would say this is probably a decent support level, which is the wick tops right here. But do I want to hold this in to the flat top is going to be the question that I have. So probably stops underneath 72s is going to be my out. And we'll move from there. So hopefully it doesn't get to that. And buyers continuing to hold it up right here. I feel more comfortable being above these body candles. The bodies of the candles right here. So let's see if some buyers can push that price up. We got 230 lots on 74. So if it's able to take those out, it should be able to take out a good chunk of them. Right there. We'll see if we can stack up to, and here we're tapping them, tapping more of them. If we can continue tapping those 74s, take out the 74s, and it's not going to look that bad. 73 8s are on the tape, so let's see if we can take those little baby lots out and push up back and tap those 74s. Back to an indecision candle. We'll see if buyers can continue holding 73s. Definitely a slower mover, but still a lot of volume traded in this. And the current candle only 55K, so off of these two candles, it's understandable that the volume is light. As of right now, we have 10 minutes left. If we can continue holding 73s, I just don't want to see it come on in, test 72s. I think 72s hold. You know, if I was being patient for one price and it told me, hey, it's going to test 72, we're not going to guarantee if it goes up or down. This is where I'd probably want to try it. But uh, we want these EMAs to hold. I don't want it because, you know, other people are looking at this too. But for now, holding 73s on an indecision candle. Only 62K volume in this candle, so a lot of decreased volume. Let's see if this can catch a bid. If it can get back over 74s, that is the body of these candles. That's what we're looking for. Look back over at TDOC real quick. Right in the 25 halves. GOEV now number 2 in volume. One part that I do like, even though this red move is negative, of course, I do like the wicks that are being left on each of the candles. That gives me a little bit more clarity that, you know, there are some buyers that have their eyes on this, and obviously with 50 million shares traded, there's going to be eyes on it. Eight lots here at 76. And if we can push through that, it should be, you know, there's a few at 77, so maybe there is a full tape up into this 74s. I would say until it gets over 74, I'm thinking that it looks more like a short, unfortunately. You know, we can take a look at plug. I didn't even see plug off the open, but that would have been good profit takes on plug. GOEV only one lot on 77 it's got to take out, and now 13 lots just stacked on it. But a tighter spread, only a 6-penny spread, which is as tight as this spread as I've seen. And now back to these 126 lots on 74s. Are we going to be able to take these out at 74s? Let's see if we can take these lots out. I don't see us chipping away at them just yet. Now 131. About a 10-cent spread. 23 lots on 74. Now able to take out 74s right up to 74 half. So back above these body candles. We got 6 minutes 30 seconds left on this candle. Let's see if we can get some price movement to the upside. See if the bid can stack above 74s. We had 119 lots on 74 halves. So hopefully we can start chipping some of those away. Now 34 of those lots look like they came down just briefly. They got taken out right away. Now 119 lots on 74 half. 31 more lots, 1 penny below that. And now taking those out again. Nope, not quite. Chipping away at some of them, chipping away at some more. As long as it keeps chipping away at the size on the bid, eventually this isn't going to look like a short anymore. Anybody short off of this wick right here, if the price gets over top of 75s, that is going to put them out of the money. Let's say SoFi around this 950 yesterday was something that we were thinking about. Not much size on the bid. Trying to hold these 74s. Looks like it's actually going to take those out. I can't see how much size is on 74 even, but I'm sure there is some size on 74 even. Four minutes left in this candle. We'd like to see this candle close above 74s, and we got 193 lots on 74s. It just ate right through those to the downside, which is not what I wanted to see just yet. But we got 3 minutes left in this candle. Still held 73s. Now more of an indecision candle. But the big part I would say that is leaning towards the short side is that these wicks are continuing to get smaller. I'd like to just see it reclaim 74s. That's the only thing I want to see for this candle. KRE still holding 45s temporarily right around that range. Bid stacked at 73.8 right now. Chipped away a couple lots right there. Now trying to reclaim 74s. We're right at 74, 10 lots that we need to work through. And we work through those lots. Now let's see if the bid can start stacking on 74s again. If that is the case, 135K volume on this candle is the lowest volume. We'd like to see that volume start picking up, and we think that that starts happening as soon as it gets around that 75. And now up to these 74 halves, 45 lots on 49s that we got to fight through. But I will say it is a clean chart. It gaps up. It's able to fill the gap at 73s. And now testing up to these 74 halves. All I wanted in this candle was for it to close above 74. A minute 20 left. We'll see if it can do so. If it's not able to do so, then, it is what it is. We will keep trying to get as much information on this chart as we can. Down to the final minute. We knew this candle was green coming into the final minute, and it ended up turning like this. So we'll see if the shorts have control in the back half of the candle, or the last minute of the candle, or not. And now chipped away some of the size. It looks like we are going to give up 74s yet again. Size on the ask at 74 instantly. 30 lots on 74s. 17 lots on 17.8, trying to hold up. See if it can claim 74s. See if the longs can start gaining a little bit of control. We got 2 seconds left. Wasn't able to. So showing the rejection of the bodies of the candles still not able to solidify anything that would trigger longs to say, oh yeah, we're good to go yet. 10 lots on 74, so we've worked through lots off 74 many times already. We'll see if we can do it again, and they're right up to 50s. 4 lots on 48. Still continuing the wick up to those halves. Only a couple lots on 47s. And here we're at those 47s. We chipped away a little bit, but hit right back down. Took out a couple more 47s. Only one lot on 47s. A few lots jumped on that ask. 15 off 47. 33 lots on 47. That's a very odd number to keep adding the size to. But size is probably trying to protect 50s. So there's probably, 100 some lots on 50 that we need to take out. But the big thing is, wicked into the middle of this green candle just briefly. Now right back up to these 47s. 15 lots on 46. So the size is probably continuing to stack in front of these 50s to try and protect it. And now stacking at 45s, and now showing that sort of death candle right there. Very spready, about 70-cent spread all the ways through this. Nothing is stacked and been able to hold in these 74s yet. 12 minutes left in this candle. We're not going to let this early look scare us. But if it started putting a red engulfing candle through 73, that would be a little bit concerning. So we'd like to just see it hold 74s like it's trying to do. 34 lots on 74s. It's been able to chew up 74s over and over again. It's been a back and forth battle. "12 minutes left on the candle. I would say it could be potential we have the wrong ticker on the day. Hyper, nice slow churn to the upside. Still leaving that sort of death candle, but we think that buyers can step in the middle of this green candle. RXT getting closer to that sort of breakout level, but just the red volume that's coming in. The candles are getting smaller, but you can see shorts getting in the middle of that red move. "10 minutes, 30 seconds left in this candle. Showing you that it wants to continue trying to hold underneath these 74s. 5 lots on 74s. It's been able to take out size on 74s over and over again. And yet again, it does take out 74s. 18 lots on 30s. Ripley, it's okay. Oh, my dog always has to go outside at the worst time. Dogs always gotta go outside at the worst times. Alright, let's go outside. I wanted to come back and we were still holding 74s, but as of right now we aren't holding 74s. Let's see what the tape's looking like. 59 lots on 74s. Holding these 74s again. When I get a little bit more confidence that this isn't just gonna hammer through this, a little bit of size stacked in front of 74s at 98. We got 50 lots. We'll see if it can hold that and take those out quickly. Not a good looking candle. 6 minutes left. So it has some time to try and take out. It's been able to wipe out 74s multiple times throughout these last 3 candles. BAC taking out day's high. Just briefly, I seen it up there in those 70s. So we'll see if that can take out these. Oh, I don't even. There we go. These wick highs right here, where 3090 is the high that we're looking at. We'll see if we can get some price movement up to 31.5, which is what we're looking for. GOEV looks like this one is probably going to end up being a loser. You can see the curl starting to be made. There's a catalyst for it to move down this way. I'm sure this is probably actually a descending channel, sort of like this. So if this wants to start showing that, hey, this is going to be a descending channel, maybe we just get out of this and go try and find something else for the day. Still light volume. We think that the volume starts picking up as soon as we get over 75, 74 halves, which is what it's been fighting to do. I'll be right back. That's exactly the type of candle I wanted to come back to. Now let's see if we can kind of break and hold. We haven't closed a candle above 74 yet. So let's see if the last 2 minutes and 40 seconds can hold above these 74s. With 166 lots, that just got eaten through as soon as I looked at it. Now right back in the 73 halves. With not much size built in here, this could just be the catalyst to come down and test these highs right here. Wick, 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 wick. Nobody in the chat. Kind of a slow day. We're just trying to hold some of these positions and let them run if they want to run. BAC to that 3070. Hibbit, a nice green candle through 40. That one's going to kill me not having a position on Hibbit. FVRR, continuing the wick up days high. TDOC, holding these 25s, so coming all the ways back in, giving you the look like, hey, we're going to have some further movement to the downside even too. KRE is holding 45s as a good looking chart. Slow consolidation, wicks on each one of those pullback candles. This was the identifier as it gets a lot smaller of a candle than this one, showing you kind of a trend reversal. And now putting in a nice green candle, let's see if that can take out the highs. GOEV. Is this going to give us anything or not? Continuing to give us a stair-step look, not able to get over top of the bodies of the candle is concerning. But buyers have continued to be there at this level. So maybe if this gets under 73s, you know, maybe there isn't anything here. But selling it at 73s would be selling it right above this nice flat top resistance that I was able to break through. So I want to say that this has a strength in yet another candle not able to break over 74s and hold. Now here we have some good size off 73 halves. I'd say we're getting closer to that point where, there's only so much we can do with this. There's only so much patience you can have with something. If it eats out these uh, 200 lots off halves, then I just don't know if I even want to mess around with this. I'm tired of looking at this. But you can see the curl catalyst. The volume has yet to have come back in. We never really had multiple candle moves to the upside. Gave us that false breakout, couple false breakouts, and then eating right back underneath. Now holding, continuing to reject the bodies. Rejects 74. 74 has been the sweet spot. Tight spread, 1 penny spread. I haven't seen it like that in a while. And actually ate out the 60s, ate up the 60s. So let's see if this can catch a bid here. If it gets over 74s again, there's going to be enough people that are going to try and hold it above 74s, I think. Four lots on 98, four lots on 99s. Was able to take out 99s. Now the key number 74, 72 lots on 74. Let's see if this can give us our break. Or you can see the catalyst. If it gets over 74 half, it looks pretty good. $73 lots on 74. But looking around, we could take a look at RXRX briefly. I don't see it on these top movers anymore, so that's a good sign. Hopefully that one is coming on in. FVRR still looking pretty good. TDOC still holding above the gap. RX came all the ways back in. Getting closer to that negative break. And able to break through the 74s. Let's see if this is where some volume can pick up. Also my channel that I have set, whether that channel is set perfectly or not. Projecting 74 again, and this wick getting lower. 10 minutes left in the candle, so a lot of time, but kind of giving you that curl look where if this wants to curl and give up 73s. 5 lots on 74. Can we get the breakout? $14 lots on 74, 15 lots on 74. It tapped 74s. Bids at 99s. Each time it's been a 1 penny spread. It's able to take out to the long side so far. We'll see if that can stay true. 1 penny spread right here. Now 56 lots on 74s. 99s are still holding. Now 136 lots on 74s. Now 55 lots on 74s. Only 1 lot on 99s. It looks like it ate out that 199 order that it had right there. Still relatively tight spread. I'd say we're approaching. Is this going to be able to break higher? I don't know. It's this curl. It's showing you the catalyst for a curl. Where if that wants to keep curling, eventually these levels are going to give up. And I think you're going to see some people exiting their positions on the break at 73. Yeah, if this was really going to break out, it would have tried. As soon as it took out those lots at 74s, it could have easily tried right there. Candle's now turned red, showing you more of that curl, but still wicking into this support range. There's a red candle right to the level. We're watching this like a hawk. Just no volume, red volume, 135K. Now you can see the curl coming to play here. Decisions. Do I just cut this? It's looking like a short. Looking like this is going to be a flat bottom break, red engulfing down to 72. Still leaving a little bit of a wick. We got 5 minutes left. It can still hold. And just like that, buyers came on in. But pushing it right back down. Now we got this wide spread. Opportunity for the buyers to come in and close the gap of that spread. BAC, days high. Getting some continuation off of the earnings. MRO approaching this gap up here towards 25s. No interest in cutting any of the position there. See what this daily candle looks like. It's a pretty good look right there. On a 37 break. Decent dividend. Covers it. Expected $1.14. Seems reasonable. I'll be right back. Gotta take this call. And we're back. Nothing too important. A lot of indecision. I think this next candle is going to give us our answer, whether we're going to be able to push higher or we're going to break down. You know, this could just leave a wick down into that 73, so I'm not going to stop it on that 73 penny. I'm just going to watch it, and if I end up marketing out underneath of 73, you know, it is what it is. But the buyers have continued to hold it above our EMAs. We have a catalyst for it to go down as of right now, but if it's able to break over 74.50, I'm staying with the same conviction as that's where we're going to start seeing some of the volume pick up. Candle starting off green, that doesn't mean anything. We'd like to see it, you know, get over 74. 74 has been the tough level to break over all day and hold over. It's been able to break over it a few times, just hasn't been able to get any type of hold. And more than likely, this downtrend is not set properly. I could probably set it more so like this. We can still see the wick is getting lower and lower and lower and lower, giving that curl. If it's able to get over 74 is now above last candle's wick, it's possible. But underneath of these levels, this might be one that we just end up cutting. And we'll go see if we can find anything else. Yeah, this candle not giving us the look that we wanted. Continuing to reject the bodies of this candle. Not the most ideal channel either right here. So let's just take this out. I'm tired of looking at that. Let's try and look around while continuing to monitor this. BAC rejecting the tops right there. Now let's see if it can hold support above 30.65, I'd say is your level. GOEV coming on in. Now we are thinking exit of this position as the buyers were not there. I'll give it these 73s. 280 lots on 73s. But anybody with stops off the 73s are triggered out to that buyer at 73. This is why I hate trading penny stocks. You can't put your stop where you want it. So I couldn't go put a stop off of 72.70. I'd have to go off of that whole penny. So we'll give it these 73s. If it eats through these 73s, we're just going to cut it. Even though we think 72s can probably hold as support, as that is where your support is at. And there's 72s. Oh boy, I'm still holding it for some reason. And we're out. Probably got 72 halves right there. But with that setup, I can't do it. We held it as long as we possibly could. Took a loss. We had some fills at that 73, so took a loss on all the shares that we had bought. Even though it's catching a wick right here, I wasn't going to give it these lows right here. You know, maybe 72s ends up holding and this can break this sort of downtrend and move to the upside, but now I'm ready to get this off of my screen. Let's go take a look at NKLA. 1 penny off of that fill at 74s. 1 penny off, but we did get a fill off 66s, so patience over here, holding strong. Zim trying to take out the day's high. And there, I can't stop looking at this because I think it looks good for continuation. And now trying to hold over 73s. No, that's going to give up the price. It's going to at least go test 72s. Man. Shake my head. Never again am I trading these penny stocks. BAC getting some continuation. Now that I'm here on the live stream, I don't really have anything too pressing. Let's go take a look at these Bank of America earnings. Nice green move. We'll see if there's any moving average that we can identify. You know, I'd say these 31 halves, that is what we're looking to cut right there. Looks good for that continuation play. I don't care about any of these don't care, don't care, blah, 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 blah. There we are. Earnings. So let's zoom into this a little bit. Highlights, net income up 19%, 88 a share. Pretty good year-over-year numbers. Increased 602 million on credit losses. Still a drop in the bucket for Bank of America. That's not half bad right there. Shows some still confidence. 2.3 billion to shareholders through common stock, dividends, share repurchase. Book value per common share rose 7% up to 32. Tangible book increased 10% to 23. You know, I'd say Citigroup is in better position in terms of tangible and book value compared relative to the price. Let's see what the chairman said. Strongest quarters in company history. I would say the stock market rallying is a good indicator that the economy, for the economy, if Americans have more money in their pockets, which, you know, with the stock market rallying, they're going to have more money in their pockets. Makes sense. Was there anything worthy on the right side? Client balances increased 8%. Over 100 billion in brokerage flows. I mean, that sounds good to me. I'm not relative to what it has been. Let's zoom out a little bit here. %74% of actively used digital platforms. It's not bad. Almost 1 million digital appointments. I just want to see that's the only thing I really haven't looked at yet is there we are. Book value, you can see the year over year. Pretty decent. That tells me that they bought back some shares. Here we are. So that's 75. About 75 million shares year over year. Oh, that's 6 months. Second quarter, so quarter over quarter, they bought back 25 million shares. I don't know what that average price would be, but just to confirm that. In the quarter before, they bought 22 million. In the quarter before that, they bought 20 million. So you can pretty much count on them to repurchase about 20 million stock. I'd say as these shares get lower and lower and lower and they continue putting up more profit, more revenue, no brainer long. My opinion, of course, for all I know, the price from right now tanks all the way back down to this gap. I have no idea. But long term, you can count on those on Bank of America continuing to buy back shares and shorten the pie down. GOVX. GOEV, I meant. Unbelievable. Oh, man, getting wicked out at the lows. There's only so much I can map out. But buyers wanted it at this price. We knew it was into support. The support we wanted was 72s. It's a damn shame. Is there anyone watching? If we got someone watching, we'll stick around.